so my next project is to take all the stuff from this bike, or almost all the stuff, to turn this flat bar rigid bike into a 26er mountain bike. That's my goal, that's the plan. My strategy for this build is going to be to give you weights and prices for everything that goes into this bike build, so you can know exactly what I did to get to where I end up, and you can use that as a platform to kind of engineer your own bike. This project is parts that I've gotten from probably the last 2 years or so. So all of that stuff I had to go back through and research where I got them, how much they were. So all my prices, they might not be the prices you would get right now today, but again, it's going to be ballpark enough for this purpose. I found on eBay this carbon 26er frame that came with a carbon 26er rigid fork, and it came with a seat post collar, and it came with a headset. All of that for $304. Right now in my bicycle world, I don't have a use for this, so nice job. But whatever, I will someday have a use for this, I'm sure. The fork they give you is 525 grams. It's full carbon steerer, full carbon. It's for post mount disc brakes. What I am using is this frame, 1,152.5 grams, 1152.5 grams. And that, I mean, whatever, that includes the the bottle cage bolts and the tubing in here, but whatever. The seat post is a Caloi SP600. Caloi make a lot of stems and seat posts. SP600. I'm going to use a aftermarket quick release seat post clamp. I did just get this also. It's a 34.9 millimeter clamp for the 31.6 millimeter seat post. Pretty standard. This seat post clamp was from eBay from China. It took a few weeks to get here. Dude, $2. And by the way, what does it weigh? 41.3 grams for $2. Alright, the supplied headset, the crown race, the bottom bearing, the top bearing, and the top cap, all of that stuff supplied with the bike. So we're going to call that no cost. 76.2 gram headset. 76.2 grams, $0. The frame fork headset also came with the fork expander plug. Again, FLYXII, 43.5 grams, $0 cost. My suspension fork that I went with was a no-name, well, a no-name in the U.S., a Chinese brand named Bolany. It's called the Bolany 32, designed by Bolany. Aerodynamic science. I have no idea if this is any good or not. It was $128. It weighs 1,703.5 grams, and it's an air suspension. I don't do mountain biking stuff, so this is my first time really playing with suspensions. It has a remote lockout, which I wanted because I feel like I'll want to be able to lock it out when I'm climbing, and then just pop it out when I want to do some, well, stuff that needs suspension. Anyway, now we've got the frame and the headset. We can actually start to build. Alright, so I've got the fork on. It's important to note, however, that this is not actually the final mock-up or how this will be. I don't have any spacers in between the headset and the stem. I probably will. And I obviously have like, what, 2.5 or 3 inches of steerer tube left. One of the final steps will be to figure out my actual position, and then I'll cut the steerer tube to size and put in the expander plug. Next up, however, I'm going to work on the rear end of the bike. My 32 tooth chainring Snail narrow wide from Taiwan cost me $8 from eBay, 38.7 grams. And my crank set, this is a, again, Taiwanese, it's Jancun IXF. It is a 4-bolt 104 BCD bolt circle diameter mountain bike style, Shimano hollowtech style, exact mimic. It's a 170 millimeter crank arm, aluminum alloy arms. The crank set, which is the drive side, the non-drive side, and the steel chainring bolts, they all come at 631.1 grams. This crank set cost $48 on eBay. All right, I've got my 32-tooth round chainring on. One other thing to note, by the way, this IXF Jancun, this has spots to mount a triple, basically. You could have a large chainring on the outside. My chainring is on the middle, but it also has mounts for the 64 BCD inner. So you could run like a 8-speed triple, a 9-speed triple, a 10-speed triple if you wanted to. Very functional, very lightweight, and when I've used this, I really liked this crank set. So I actually highly recommend this crank set. 50 bucks, it's light. A lot of them come with a bottom bracket. Can't go wrong with that. All right, my bottom bracket is removed from the old bike. I checked it out, it's in great shape. The bearings seem awesome, it's nice and clean. Now, the weight for my bottom bracket, 103.7 grams. And I just double checked my stats. This was included in the purchase of the crank set. So you throw in the crank set, the bottom bracket, plus the chain ring, so 700 and like 770 something like that. That's pretty lightweight for a drive modality. All right, my brakes are Avid BB7 mechanical actuated disc brakes. This bike has post mount front and rear, so I could go without the adapter, which I had to use on the old bike. So the calipers with the bolts and the appropriate washers are 197.4 grams each, and I paid $55 for front and rear calipers, as well as the G3 rotors, the 160 millimeter G3 rotors that are on. They're already attached to the wheel set. We'll talk wheel set in a second. These are going to pop on right now. All right, we're making good progress. Front and rear disc calipers are now mounted. Now let's talk wheel set, tires, tubes, all this jazz. Now, none of this I'm going to take apart because I'm keeping everything as it is. So I'll just talk to you about what parts I am using for this. And to be honest, I haven't washed this stuff, so it isn't as clean as it could be. First, let's talk wheel set. They are, again, there's a theme here from eBay, from either China or Taiwan, I'm not really sure. They are labeled as Redland Nature R28. Good luck finding that brand anywhere out there. I don't know who makes them. I don't know what they are. They are, however, pretty cool looking wheels. They're 26-inch, 26er wheels, designed for mountain bike. They've got straight pull spokes on these nice red aluminum hubs with a little pseudo carbon fiber like flange in there, and they came with the skewers. So let's talk some of the numbers. Okay, so the front wheel, which I'm holding right now, just the wheel set with the rim tape and the skewer, that was 895.5 grams. And the rear wheel, which I haven't taken out yet, but the rear wheel was 1,021.5 grams. So people normally talk about the weight of a wheel set. The total wheel set was 1,917 grams, 1917 grams. And that cost me $116 on eBay, 116 bucks for that. Now, the claimed weight was 1,750, but I don't think that includes the skewers or the rib tape. So whatever, I'll give them that little bit of flex. I still think that's a pretty decently lightweight mountain bike wheel set, and they look pretty good. Now, I have added, of course, onto this the Avid BB7 G3 rotor, which I don't have a separate weight for, but I'm pretty sure is like 110 grams. We already had the cost of that included in the calipers. Let's talk tires. Tires are Kenda Small Block 8 Sports. I love Small Block 8 tires. I love the tread. They're probably not the most aggressive mountain bike tread out there, but again, I use these mostly for commuting, and if I ever find that I need more tread, I can always just get other tires. These tires are 26 by 2.10 inch. They're 60 thread per inch. They are wire bead, so that makes them a tiny bit heavier, rated for 30 to 80 psi. These Kendas are 640 grams each, and for the pair, they cost me $55 shipped, so $55. And there is an inner tube in here. Based on my calculations, the inner tubes are about 195 grams. Inner tubes, whatever, call them $4 or $5 a piece. Call it $10 for the pair. All right, we got our rear wheel here. Same deal, Redland Nature R28, off-brand. By the way, I didn't mention these are Schrader valve. Interestingly, that's pretty, isn't that unique? I don't know, maybe not for 26ers. Anyway, whole shebang all put together. I didn't have to change anything on this. I'm running a Sunrace 11 to 46 tooth cassette, 11 speed. It costs $75. It's 490 grams. It looks nice. It's got a nice little red lock ring. It has a red aluminum body in there, and the large tooth says like 46 tooth up in there. I don't know. I mean, I think this whole thing looks pretty darn sweet. Let's pop it on. My rear derailleur is the Shimano Deore XT-M8000. It's an 11-speed rear derailleur. It's, what else is there to say about it? It's a clutch mechanism. Rear derailleur weighs 273.6 grams, and it cost me $70. All right, I think now I'm going to pop on my pedals and my chain. These pedals are from eBay. They're UKISS. I don't know if that's the name brand or not. They look sweet. They're flat. They have 6 adjustable pins on them. The pair of pedals weighs 247 grams, and they cost me $14. This is the chain that I took off the commuter bike. Now, in truth, I will probably have to take off maybe 1 full link, maybe even 2, because I did drop from a 38 tooth down to a 32. This chain was a SRAM PCX1, 11-speed specific chain, and this thing weighed exactly 260 grams. I'm going to throw on a saddle, and I'm a little bit undecided on what saddle to use. I've literally got like a box of saddles. I think what I'm going to go with first off is my old Cutter. This was my race road bike saddle, and this has like carbon fiber rails, and it's 155 grams, and this cost me like $35 a long time ago. But pick your poison for the saddle. All right, so that's another case in point of the bike hobbyist's luxury, is that when you hit something that you didn't anticipate, you've got other crap you can steal and still make something work. So I just did a swap between my gravel bike and this bike. So now, this isn't exactly what I had planned, but now I'm running a carbon fiber. This is the EC90. This thing cost me, this seat post is 173.3 grams, cost me $35. And my saddle is now, and I can change this out as well, but this is a Gub GUB Taiwanese eBay, 253 grams, and the saddle was like $17. $17 saddle, $35 seat post. All right, and cue seamless transition. All right, in truth, it's been, I think, over a month since I've even walked into my workshop to try to work on the bike. Truth is, the bike is pretty much built. All I really had left to do was to mess around with reattaching all of the cables and housings from the front end of the bike, getting them set up, and then setting up the suspension. At this point, I don't know if I'm even going to take you through all of that process, but I think there's still a few components we didn't talk about since we were doing the prices and weights for everything. There's a few things I don't think I talked about yet. My bars I bought used on eBay. They are Orbea OC2. I think they're 60 millimeter wide, which is pretty narrow for mountain bike bars. This may be a mistake. I may end up having to go wider, but that's what I got. I got those on eBay for $12. That's 161.2 grams for the bars. These grips are a no-name Chinese eBay pair of grips. They cost me $5.40, and they're 60 grams each. That includes the colored lock rings. And I do like the grips. They're nice texture, nice rubberized grip. And I'm running Avid FR-5 brake levers. Those are 72.5 grams each. My shifter is a single right-sided right derailleur control. It's a Shimano Deore XT-M8000. This cost me $43, and it's 146.3 grams. So I think that takes me through all of the masses and the prices for everything on the bike. What I really want to do is just finish up the actual project, get these cables attached, get the thing built up. I get a final weight for it, and I'll give you some shots of the whole thing once it's done. I hope you enjoyed this process. I know as a builder, I didn't take you through the actual how-to process. I just took you through kind of my choices, what I ended up using for this, and in the future I'd like to report on how I like the bike, because that remains to be seen. I haven't taken it out yet. Ta-da! Well, there she is in all her glory. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased actually.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust.